station Back in Black from AC/DC. Yeah. And unfortunately, they said, well, there are licensing fees and all this sort of stuff. Now, you can play a song, I think it's like 12 seconds or so. Maybe it's 18 or something, before you start legitimately. So here's some royalty. And I've got 10 minutes to decide, before the first show, this one is known as extreme sports music. I like that, extreme, you see. So here. But what I'm trying to figure out is if it's just become so identifiable with the program that, we shouldn't change his sake, I'm Marky Bilson, your voice of choice for a new generation of Tri-City sports fans. Name of the program, Tri-City Sports Now, and we own the Tri-Cities on 1420 WEMB Sports Radio, because I've got the hardest-hitting opinions and the best guests in the market. Today, our guest list includes Jerry Bonkowski, renowned motorsports writer, the right Rev of Rev, or Speed if you prefer. And he'll be joining me at 1 p.m. talking about the Toyota Owners 400 in Richmond. Here's the thing. The Toyota Owners, I used to say this when it was like they did away with the Southern 500, the Rebel 500 down in Darlington, and they would change it one year to the Mall.com 500. And I remember, I don't think Mall.com even exists anymore. And that led me to think two things. One was ballparks. Used to be you would know every baseball park or football stadium right off the top of the bat because they had something to do with the team that played there. You had Yankee Stadium, pretty easy to figure out who played there. Three Rivers Stadium, oh, that's got to be Pittsburgh. Veterans Stadium, all right, that doesn't have it. But, Philly, very American. All right, let's go with, you have I wonder who plays there. It's probably just as, telling as Dodger Stadium. I think we can figure that one out. And we could argue that, okay, in this day of naming all the ballparks, I don't know, the Heinz Field. Well, Heinz, that's made in Pittsburgh, right? Or what's another stadium that really you would know right off the bat, a company right there. Admittedly, I've got to tell you that that's something I know because, being from Pittsburgh, but I think there's a Keystone on the darn label, for crying out loud, of ketchup. So are you not called with the Mets? I think you might know that because I can remember Citibank, and it's well known for Gray, Tennessee, but it's well known for New York City. I remember, watching ads on Yankees and Mets games as a kid. The city never sleeps, Citibank, talking about New York City. That sort of thing. But when we get into Progressive Field, or Safeco Park or what, wait a minute, which ones are those again? It's one of the reasons I totally despise the names of the ETSU stadia, and I call them the stadium that should be named after John Robert Bell for football and the stadium that should be named after Jim Mooney for baseball. And Freedom Hall is just what? That's in Louisville, isn't it? Right? Huh? All right. Maybe that whole thing about, but let me get, you got Jerry Bonkowski at 1:30, typical Friday guest. I might at 1:45 have a surprise that Southern Conference fans would like to listen to. Talk. Okay, let me just give you, if it works, if not, we'll have them on later on. But anyway. But speaking of what Southern Conference fans like, the big news this week, there's been so many big news, but yesterday, front page of the paper, Brian Nolan to be the chancellor at the University of Tennessee. Doesn't it seem like and what I immediately thought was this was the week that really proved something I talk about a lot, which is why here, excuse me to the Facebook watchers, why here in the Tri-Cities, does ETSU have to be subservient? Well, it's smaller, Marky. But I think it goes beyond that. And, at the core, it's the major university of the region, the major university of the state. Traditionally, Tennessee may beat up on Vanderbilt 7 ways from Sunday, right? Until recently on the gridiron, that was what always happened, until the last 7 years, all right? Vandy never was subservient to Tennessee. Also, other Southern Conference schools, I'll talk about this. Furman, they're not subservient to South Carolina and Clemson. But ETSU, and let me just prove this. Rick Barnes, courted by UCLA. What did everybody say when that happened? Oh, I'll bet Steve Forbes replaces him. That's subservience. And now Brian Nolan. And ask anybody around ETSU. Oh, he's gone. We hope he's not. The new chancellor at UT. Subservient. If he does get the position, Brian Nolan, it's a safe bet he'll be the only chancellor in the world wearing orange bow ties, which, by the way, will fit in nicely with the people wearing checkerboard overalls at the football games. But it's also this safe bet. If Nolan doesn't get the job, ETSU fans won't have any problem whatsoever or think it is disingenuous in any way that a man who next week will be part of an open forum at Tennessee, why I should be the chancellor, and anybody can go down to Knoxville and, ask him the question, that sort of thing. But if he doesn't get the job at ETSU, that he'll be back at the Buccaneer cheerleader, like he does. And like when he joined the actual cheerleaders on the court during the SoCon tournament with Scott Carter, the athletic director, holding up placards, go Bucks, leading cheers and all that. Doesn't it seem a little disingenuous to you? Just ask me that if you would do that after you court another school to be their chancellor. And nobody at ETSU will have any problem with if he comes back and starts cheerleading again. That, my friends, is subservience. It's the sort of thing that Southern Conference rivals start calling the team the Cucks and not the Bucks. Now, SoCon is subservient to the larger school in the ACC or the SEC or wherever. For instance, I mentioned the South Carolina schools. And maybe it's their academics. Maybe it's the fact that, although ETSU has defeated UT on the baseball diamond 3 of the last 5 games, generally speaking, every now and then, Furman, Citadel, Wofford, they take a football game or a basketball game from South Carolina or Clemson. Wofford had the best team. This is in an era in which Clemson has won 2 out of the last 3 football national championships. Not even in athletics, and certainly not academics. Now, every athletic program has to be known for something, right? No college fan base in the country. I don't think any of them. 350 odd was it 351, 353? I really ought to know that. D1 schools, but even if you want to go to the D2 schools and all that, I don't think there's any fan base in the country that has an awareness of their college president the way that ETSU does. Usually when fans start talking about the mission, the program, all that, they look at the athletic director as the boss. ETSU, and it's probably from the days when, Paul Stanton's director. Back 15, 16 years ago now it was, that awareness of what the college president, or chancellor as the case may be, has on an athletic program. Nolan was always athletics-minded. He restored the football program. He got the Bucks back to the SoCon. He even plays pickup basketball. At least he did before his car accident. Furthermore, since he has arrived, for the most part, ETSU wins. Think about this. All their teams are winning, except women's basketball, basically. So Vols fans might look to the influence their next chancellor will have athletically. William Tate, the dean of the graduate school at Washington University. What's Washington University? A school athletically. They're, by the way, nicknamed the Bears. Okay, I knew you didn't know that. The Washington University Bears. They're in St. Louis. You probably knew that. But if Nolan goes to Tennessee, ETSU fans will ponder what will become of the Bucs. I'll tell you when we return.
Neighborhood quarterback.